On the Good Morning Artesia radio show, we have County Commissioner John Henry with us, and so a lot of the discussion in your county commission was on the fire services and things like that. West Loop, I think that's the bypass. Some people call it the bypass or whatever.
Yes,
How's that coming along?
It's coming along good. We did talk about it yesterday. There was an IFB that we put out there to do the second.
Now, an IFB is...
You would ask me that. RFP is...
Request for
proposal.
Yeah.
IFB would be something for bid. Information? I don't know. So
it's being prepared.
Yes, well, it was already done. They put it out there, and folks submit their bids to the county, and they took a look, and that was awarded for the second part of the drainage over that Hackleberry Draw, and so that got approved yesterday. It's been engineered. There's been a lot of work done, so hopefully we'll see that fairly quickly going. So that was a great thing that happened. Trying to get that West Loop going. We've talked to a couple oil and gas companies lately, and they said, you know, those loops are really going to help them because they've got folks, like we say all the time, coming from down here, going up there to work, or just that movement within town, trying to get their folks around. So I think it'll be super helpful once we get all these loops done for movement, for not just oil and gas, but for the citizens as well to maneuver around a little quicker and get where they need to go. And, you know, if you're going to the Carlsbad Airport, you know, it could maybe get there quicker.
So this particular project, the Loop project, this is a county project.
It is, yes.
Is the state, the Department of Transportation, are they working on anything that ties in with any of this or any of the other projects that have been a concern in the county?
No, I mean, obviously when we tie back into any state roads, we'll work with the state on that interchange and get that fixed up. But for the most part, anything that we're putting together is, if it's a county, will be just the county. So, but when we run across state or city, you know, in Artesia last year or 2 years ago, when we did 26th Street as the county, the city picked up the rest of 26 where it turned into city to finish it and bring it in. So we do have great partnerships with both cities, the state, and everyone else to say, hey, here's the project we've got. That's a big part of that collaboration of making sure when we're crossing those roads, we can get those interchange hooked properly and engineered properly so that traffic runs smooth and safely. So
now down around the Y where the
brine well,
the former sinkhole is, or where the brine well is, how's that part coming along?
Apparently it's coming really well. I mean, I forget if it was last year or 2 years ago. Sometimes they blur together. We did end up having to give them a little more money to finish it, but that should finish it, make it to where that's no longer an issue. I think we're already at that point to where it's I mean, they've been working on it for
quite a while,
4 years now. So I feel like surely they're at a point where I'm not on that committee, so I'm not sure, you know, that's...
But there's been a lot of work on that, and then the intersection itself has had some road construction with it associated with it
and
as well.
And you see a lot of development right there, so I'm assuming if they're developing right there that they feel pretty confident that brine well has been taken care of. So
Good.
But that was another great collaboration. I mean, it was the state's problem, but the city and county kind of had to join or they weren't going to do anything type of deal. We've had that discussion, and but we got it done, and it was something that needed to be done. So, you know, the amount of industry, not just oil and gas, but there's a water ditch right there that feeds a ton of farms out towards Otis and Loving and all that area. And had that fallen in, all of a sudden you've got all these farmers without water. I mean, there was some major... I think it was something like $1 billion worth of, because you had the train come through there, you had the water, you had oil. So when they put all that together, had something fallen there, it could have affected $1 billion worth of economy in there, and that would have been obviously devastating to our area.
That would have been a bad thing. And the original company that was using that was following all of the state rules and regulations that were in place at the time, and that's why it wound up being a state project then.
Yeah, they're the ones that signed off on it and said what they were doing was correct, and so technically it should have probably been a state issue to fix, but we needed it fixed, and the state said, well, we're not going to fix it unless y'all help. So we helped so we could get it done. So
Got it done.
Yeah.
Good
so
deal.
Had to get done. But
so that's West Loop.
so that's West Loop. That was some more good news coming for folks that have to get up there and get out there. That was kind of a big one. I was telling you we did a lot of PSAs, which are service agreements that the county puts out there. We do them every year. It's to take care of things that the county doesn't take care of, things that we don't really do. Pause and clause are one of them. The chamber, the cities, we give a lot of money to Artesia and Carlsbad, and that's to try to, obviously, fire and services and all that help the county and police. We go both ways on that. But also when county residents use the library or any entities that the cities provide, that's to kind of help say here's some money and to help with those expenses. So the cities get some of that. Eddy County Fair gets a bunch of that. Sheriff's Posse. So it's kind of spread out all over the county to a lot of different entities that do wonderful things for the county. But services that we don't necessarily offer. So that's kind of what that threshold is does the county offer the service or government? No. Okay, then we can do this PSA. And so we did a lot of those. Anti-drug, the Carlsbad Anti-Drug Gang Coalition. I mean, there's a lot of good work that's been done in there. And I've counted. There was over 20 of them we approved it through the budget because it's a budget and we do it once a year. So unfortunately, we were making fun of McCutcheon. He's the chairman this year, and when you're chairman of the committee and you have to, there's a lot of signing that takes place after this meeting.
Right.
Because the stack is probably a foot and a half high of things you've got to sign. You got to sign off on all of them. But good work done, and we were excited. It's always good when the budget kind of is done and we can now start operating on it. Obviously, it's gone to our interim budget has gone to DFA for their approval. Then it'll come back and we can vote on it as a final. But the work has been done for the most part, and hopefully DFA will look at it and go, yep, this is a good budget, and send it right back.
So these agreements, are these part of the new budget, or are these concluding the previous budget?
All part of the new budget.
Okay.
So we do them, we vote all at once when the new budget, the interim budget was approved last meeting. So this meeting is when all the stuff within the interim budget would come to us for approval.
Okay.
Which you would kind of think, well, we approved the budget, but no, you've got to have a separate vote on these PSAs. So
okay.
But you want to have that done, and it would be awkward to have it on the same budget. So
I know a lot of times there's different discussions that happen. Like, for example, when there was a big push to try to get the traffic light at First and Hermosa.
Right.
That's a highway department That's a highway department project. They have their timetables.
Yes.
People, communities, private industry offer and say, look, if it's a money thing, we'll write a check. What do we need to do to get this done?
Yeah.
And then people worry about the anti-donation clause.
Yeah.
So how do these, I guess these PSAs, these professional service agreements fall under that so that you don't have to worry about or be as concerned about the anti-donation clause?
Right.
Like, for example, when the county gives money to Pause and Clause, that's not considered a donation. That's an actual contract to provide services.
Right. To provide, yes, because basically what those are going to do is they're going to turn into the little certificates so that you can get your dogs and cats spayed and neutered and all that good stuff. So that's a service the county doesn't offer. We're just trying to help stop the population of dogs and cats out there. It doesn't fall into, it doesn't hit that anti-donation because I think mainly they're not making profit off of it. It's just a service we're trying to provide. I think that's where that anti-donation gets real fuzzy when you're, and there's a lot of arguments that are made that, well, you can't use that property because if you use it and you make any money on it, then that's technically the city or county helping it. That's not really what anti-donation is. We've had a group come down here and talk to us a couple years ago to help us understand it a little better. So it's a really difficult thing to navigate through that anti-donation, and I think some people use it to say, oh, well, we can't do that because of. And maybe that's not exactly accurate. There might be ways to work within it. Basically what you're not wanting to do is, as a commissioner, if I owned 20 acres, I don't want to put a road in it that would help make it profitable for me and not really anyone else. I mean, so there is.
The county put it in. The county be responsible.
The county
for
put it in. The county's expense, but it only benefited a certain person or something. Whereas you get into that argument is sometimes counties and cities could say, well, if we put this road in, it'll benefit so properties. Well, maybe, but you also have to realize if you're connecting roads, or West Loop is a perfect example. Will other properties maybe become more valuable? It's possible, but that West Loop is more important for the safety and infrastructure of the city. So you've got to weigh those two options and make sure that you're not doing it just to benefit those. You're doing it to benefit the good of the people and the good of the county, rather than just individuals. So.
Well, and there have been different cases around the state over the years, which brings the anti-donation clause up as an issue. I don't know if anti-donation had anything to do with it, but I know in the past they used to have county prisoners would come up, pick up trash at the Eddy County Fair.
Right.
And then you didn't see any of the county prisoners up there picking up trash, so did that get affected by the anti-donation, or were we just being mean to prisoners?
No, and I don't. Man, the warden and I talked about this, but it's been so long. It had nothing to do with anti-donation.
Well, that's good.
I can't remember why he doesn't do it as much. He still does it every once in a while, but not as much. And there's a reason, and I don't want to say because I don't remember it exactly.
Right, but I'd hate to think the the county is donating something to the fair board, and we're just trying to pick up the trash.
Exactly,
and
we're just doing a
prisoners
service.
Probably need a little time out.
Yeah, I'm sure they enjoyed get out and do something different.
But that's a lot of items there that that the commissioners have to go through.
Yeah, no, absolutely, tons of stuff, but all good stuff. But it's always exciting to see it get done. We were able to give a little bit more money to some of them this year to help try to get more accomplished. Obviously, the county's sitting in a really good spot. It's been really nice for the last couple of years, even through COVID, because we budgeted so. I mean, Al and Roberta do such an amazing job of making sure of understanding the price per barrel, understanding the volumes, and really making sure that we budget something that makes sense. We haven't had a big crunch, which has been nice. Like I said, even during the COVID, I mean, obviously there was less of some things, but we had budgeted so well that we even ended up with a surplus at that year as well. So the county is really doing well right now. Obviously, oil's over $100 last I checked. I haven't looked at it today, but obviously that's going to help. The volumes are helping. There's rigs out there drilling. I mean, the oil field's busy, and that's good to see. It means folks have jobs. That means if they have jobs, they're spending money, and if they're spending money, that helps the local businesses in town as well. And so I would say overall the cities and the county should look really good with all the activity happening out there.
Excellent. So at the end of the day, when you county approved the interim budget and the budget for next year, coming out of the previous year, how much is the surplus going to be? How much? How well did the county do coming out of this last budget year?
We'll see this. It technically ends at the end of this month, so we'll see where it ends up. But it's going to be a pretty big number this year. Obviously, because we never imagined oil going over $100. I think we budgeted in the $50 barrel range. So you're doubling that at times. And so I think this next meeting will be interesting because we'll see what this last GRT is going to bring in. And like I said, we talked about last time, I think they're about 2 months behind, month behind sometimes on what we're seeing. So this next set of GRTs that come in should be those big barrel numbers. So we'll see exactly what's going to happen. But we expect that surplus to be fairly large this year. Just because it's a shocker. I mean, who would have ever guessed?
Yeah.
how it would have taken off.
Any thoughts from your fellow commissioners as to what to do with all that extra money?
Well, and I think what you've seen us do the last 3 or 4 years, where there's been some surplus, we've put it straight back into roads for the most part.
Okay.
I think you and I've talked a little bit about it. We've got some big projects and big things that we're going to have to start tackling. So if there is a good surplus, it might be a good time to start saying, okay, let's start putting some money aside for some of these things that we know we're going to have to tackle. And that way we're not having to go to the people to say, hey, we got to do a bond. No, maybe we can just start saving up and start funding some of these things. Is my hope.
Yeah.
Is that possible? I have no idea, but
till the numbers start
coming in and we can see them. But I know we're working on getting those numbers so that we can have a pretty good idea of where we're at and where some of these projects are going to land and how we want to tackle them.
Yeah.
But it makes sense when times are good. Let's make sure. A lot of the buildings we're looking at tackling, I think we can make them so much more efficient that even when times aren't as good as they are now, because of the efficiency we've put into them, whether it be energy or just how we design them so that we don't have to have as much staff because we could design it better. I mean, there's a lot of ways that I think in the long term we can save a lot of money, whether times are good or bad, and be much more efficient. And that's what obviously any good business wants to do is, I mean, I'm sure you look at it the same way. I mean, how can we do it better and more efficient? Not because the county wants to be profitable, but we want to use your tax dollars properly and not just waste them. I mean, so our business model is a little different in the sense we're not trying to be profitable. We're trying to use tax dollars efficiently, effectively, and not wastefully. So
any rumblings from the state that the county commission has heard that look at all that money down there in Eddy County, we could use some of that up here in Santa Fe?
No, because they take so much of it. I think they're pretty happy. I mean, money is flowing into this state like crazy right now. So
isn't that amazing?
It really is. I mean, between federal governments just sending money to the states and then with our oil and gas industry, I mean, we are sending an incredible amount of money to Santa Fe, and they're using it. So
and don't forget all the pot money that's flowing into the state now.
All the pot money. So super exciting, man. Well, we talked about it last time, but I'm really disappointed in some of that stuff, how they're packaging it and all. It still goes back to that, and it just really bothers me how that's presented. So I'm hoping the state will tackle that pot a little more and maybe take some of that off the table. Which, come to find out, you were asking, is that not a trademark? None of those, of course, have been approved by Fritos or Skittles or, I forget that Cheetos was the other one. So I'm sure maybe those companies ought to come take a look at that. And
hopefully somebody will send them some packages and everything.
Send them the pictures.
Because somebody somewhere is going to be responsive within those companies.
I would think so. I wouldn't. If I was one of those companies, I wouldn't want that. I mean, that it's your name on the bag and it makes you look bad, and that's not fair to them either. I mean,
right.
It's bad business. So
it's very very interesting. When will the county find out from a budget standpoint its cut of all of this pot revenue from Eddy County? Is it a separate line from the GRT?
Yeah, it will be a separate line item. I can't remember what Roberta called it, but we should be able to see.
So there is
we should see exactly what is coming from that. As of right now, I still don't believe we have any in the county. They're all been in the cities. Obviously, Artesia still doesn't have one. Carlsbad has quite a few, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what those numbers look like. And
so the county wouldn't see it unless it's in the county. If it's in the city,
well, we'll still see it because our little portion of that GRT it still comes from the cities. That's why, if you remember way back when the county tried to raise GRTs, that's one of the reasons I was against it, because it was going to push Artesia's almost. I can't remember if it matched Santa Fe or above Santa Fe, and that would have been really bad for us. So, our portion is really small in the city, but it still does affect the city's GRT.
Well, let's hope that number is really high. I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. Oh, that's great. Well, is there anything else? We got about a minute left or so in the segment.
No, those were the big discussions. I think those are important discussions too. I mean, the fire services is a huge discussion that folks really need to pay attention. We need to understand what's going on out there and pay attention to little things. If you're a welder, pay attention to how you're welding. I mean, there's rules been put in place to try to help keep that safe, and
Don't let the chains drag.
Don't let the chains
and the
drag.
cigarette butts,
Please don't flip your cigarette. You shouldn't
Yeah.
do that anyways. Don't flip your cigarettes out the window. I know cars don't have ashtrays like they did back in the day, but figure
That's
it
true.
out. You know, you're smoking. You can figure it out.
Well, yeah, that's right. You need to do that. Let's all pray for rain too. That would be a big
pray
help.
for rain because we sure need it.
All right, County Commissioner John Henry, thanks for your time.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. We are going to